We're going GLP-1 orals, baby.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, so the new GLP-1 orals, there's always been that, does anything in the peptide space work orally? And the answer in the beginning was, there was very little that we could do orally because, the stomach acid kills everything. And even if you get past the stomach acid, the first pass through the liver destroys the rest of it. So most of what you see is, if you get 98% bioavailability from an injection or 99% from it, you'd get less than 1 through an oral tablet. So when you look at things like curcumin, B12, I mean, even vitamins and so forth that you take, the amount that you get that goes through and actually gets absorbed into the bloodstream is nil. So the big one is, that's how with turmeric, you want to get curcumin out and inject it so you get those cancer fighting properties. And I started doing a lot of that with my mom when she got cancer the first time. But with the oral side of it, it's usually because you need a lot more. And that's why your B12 bottle always says 9,998%. Even at that number, you're still barely taking any, you're peeing
Not
all
passing
of it out.
through your system.
Yeah, that's why you look like you're peeing nuclear waste. But when it came to the GLPs, it's kind of the same thing. So let's look at GLP-1, which the normal amount that you would take, let's say for a very modest dose, nothing that's 1 milligram a week, right? And when you do it orally, you would start at 3 milligrams a day. So you're 3 times the amount times 7, that's 21 times as much to get probably less than 1 milligram injected, which is why it was always so tough to say, why would you only have to take 1 injection? Why would you do it orally? Well, some people just won't do needles, right? But by doing it orally, you also can control a little bit of the side effects too. So this, I know everybody goes with the once a week thing because it's easier to sell. But reality wise, people like Jay Campbell and me and a lot of other people say, the more injection you do at smaller doses is always going to be better for your blood glucose levels and how the body reacts. So why not do it maybe 2 times a week and have a little bit more control? The oral, at least you get that effect. You can take it daily. If there's a day that you want to go out and enjoy food, you're not going to kill your appetite completely that day. And if you do take too much, you're not dealing with it for 3 or 4 or 5 days. You're dealing with it for
so it's in and out of your system a lot quicker.
It is, but it also takes time to build up. It's really interesting because your body still wants to reject it when you first start taking it. So, you'd think, oh, if I take it, it's going to go in the first day. No, you don't really even see anything for 2 to 3 days, sometimes longer. And then you really don't start seeing the effects for 2 to 3 weeks. So you have to have a little bit more patience with the oral versions. And that's why people generally sometimes jump to 5 or 7 or whatever milligrams. I think
fast.
Yeah, I think some of the companies that do the GLP-1s in oral go up to 14 milligrams a day now, probably because of all the people that have burnt out their receptors. But I think a 3-5-7 was the standardized dosage a day originally. And another big one that people don't realize is, tell people these things and then they just kind of goes inside one out the other. They're, looking at the shiny toy. You got to take these things empty stomach first thing in the morning. I've said that with tesofensine. I said that with, 5-amino-1, sloop. They work better that way because when you eat, sometimes 80%. So you take something that's 1% bioavailable and then we do all these tricks and ponies and use things like snack and different coatings to get through there. And then you just eat on top of it, you just destroy it again. Right. So, when you're taking it, just, no food, 30 minutes, give your body the chance to get it absorbed. Don't get out of sorts and go, oh man, it's not working after, the first 3, 4, 5 days. Give it some time to work. But, I used it just to test it out. And I started to feel the effect. I think I was talking to you.
Yeah. I tell people stories all the time. He eats like a horse and all of a sudden he stopped eating and it was miserable. But
yeah, I'm like, I want to eat something. Yeah. It's kind of funny because
not miserable from the way that you felt, but miserable from the fact that you couldn't eat the food that you wanted to.
Yeah. Because I just want to see if it worked because I love eating. I need to eat. But the cool part is then we mixed in. So, obviously you look at GLP-1s and we're working on sugar, cravings. That's the main focus of the GLP-1, but it takes fat off by starvation, essentially. That's how most people get the weight off. Well, we decided to mix it with sloop because that works on, mitochondrial response, the body oxygenation of fat, white fats and brown fats and getting more brown fat in to destroy white fat. creating that ability for the body to feel like it's actually running or working all day long. You do get a little hotter on it. So, and that's also without damaging the eating process more, because one thing I've always said with any of these GLPs, you still got to eat. Even if you got to force yourself to do a small protein shake every few hours, you just don't want the huge muscle wasting piece of GLPs.
And I know you've talked about sloop a lot as exercise in a pill, right? And so
Yeah.
can you talk about kind of the effect of the sloop if you eat it, you're sitting on the couch, also the white fat versus the brown fat and how it's affected, and by that combining those two things together, kind of how is that going to help people?
Well, I mean, that's the thing. We still got to see more, more studies and what goes down the road. But in theory, I mean, there's nothing that should say that you won't get the right response. So you're now working on glucose level, sugar in the body, the craving. You add in some SLUPP332, and that's going to work on that energy response. Hopefully, maybe even give you some more energy, because sometimes GLP-1s drain you. And get that body to start thermogenically burning some of the fat off the body as well, and get that double whammy without going overboard on one direction. And not the newer GLPs, retatrutide, tirzepatide, now you got Biolutide and ATX, all these different products that are coming out. They work a lot on the stomach, the food, the processing piece. Well, you got enough of that. But they work. We get it. It does that. So you got to go, okay, well, what else is going to help with getting more fat off the body? And that's why we did a 5 milligram tablets right middle of the road. You put 1 milligram sloop in there, get some really good results. I loved it. I was able to, take about 6 pounds off in 3 weeks. I don't know what was coming off. It's really hard for me to tell, even on in-body.
Right.
It just says the same damn thing every time. You're 3% body fat. I'm like, I am definitely not 3% body fat, but it says I'm 3% body fat no matter what I do. If I go on vacation for 2 months, eat like crap, don't exercise, 3% body fat. I don't know. Maybe I'm lucky.
Does sloop help at all with muscle wasting too?
The muscle wasting piece is not because of the GLP-1. The muscle wasting is because the person taking the GLP-1 is taking too much, not eating at all, and then not exercising or not doing something to keep the muscle tissue on the body. And eventually that's going to fall off, right? I mean, if I just stopped eating completely, that's my big thing. That's why I don't like ever stopping the eating piece, is when I lose weight, I don't lose fat. I lose muscle, right? And that's because I need probably close to 4,000 to 6,000 calories a day just to maintain my weight. When I go under, I'll see my swing. I'll be at 240. I'll be 222. If I go to 3,000, 4,000 calories a day. And that's, there is fat coming off in there, but it's probably 90% muscle.
Which I think kind of leads to a good point too, with, how you diet and exercise while you're taking these pills. Right. And so a lot of people, I think, don't focus on that component because they're not as hungry. But, what do you think about diet and exercise while you're on any of the GLPs?
I mean, we're all these are as tools. You don't play a football game without the football, right? So I get it that's probably a bad reference, but these are footballs. These are the football. These are the cleats. These are the jerseys. These are the pads. These are what peptides are. You're adding all these little pieces to make the game more fun. Otherwise, you're playing flag football, right? If you don't have a football, you're not playing anything. But no matter what, the football ain't going to move without someone doing it. The body has to work. You got to get the right nutrition in there, because if you stopped eating, well, that's not good either. So you sacrifice, and that's why the drug world is always so bad. I solved one problem, but created 10 others.
Right.
So, I get it. You want to lose weight. You don't got to lose 15 pounds in a week. The human body, and I know this is probably all over the board, but if you just bust your butt in the gym as a normal, healthy adult and ate right, you'd probably lose 10 pounds of fat, put on 5 pounds of muscle in a year, naturally, right? You're talking about people trying to lose 10 pounds in 2 days, a week. Oh, I got a wedding in 3 weeks. I got to get 12 pounds off of me. That's not what the human body is meant to do. So just exercise, be a little bit more, advantageous to schedule and look at a lifelong goal and not just a short-term goal. Yeah. But I mean, the exercise piece, when the body's in work, it keeps working. And the body in work releases so many other peptides that now you don't need to inject them. I do it anyway, just because I'm always worried about, making sure that I'm as healthy as I can be. I'm not trying to be the guy living forever, but I definitely would like to be the guy, still going scuba diving and jumping off of boats at 100. Right.
Yeah.
So, when you work out, you release MOTS-c. So, but just in case I don't work out enough, I still inject MOTS-c, once every 4 months. I'll do 20 milligrams over a couple weeks.
Which is, even a great point is kind of like you get the goal for, okay, we're using these GLPs to get you to a certain point. Let's in the meantime kind of build up these healthy eating habits, exercise habits, and then what other peptides can we look at, right, to kind of help you along with your journey. So,
well, okay. So, people, that's the other thing. Oh, well, if you stop taking, you're just going to get fat again. Well, no. What did you change? How else did you change? So, yeah, you take the tool away, okay, I got to get to work. I live 20 miles from work. If I walk to work, it takes 6 hours, right? Okay. Well, I get a car. That's a tool. Now I can get to work in 25 minutes. That's a huge improvement. Okay. Well, a year later, if I take away the car, I'm going back to the 6 hours, right? Because I didn't change anything else. But let's say now the GLP is my car and I go, I'm going to lose 80 pounds. But when I get there, I know I can't use this forever, or I can't continue to do this. What am I going to change so that 6 hour walk doesn't happen, knowing I'm going to lose the car? Well, that's when you start doing. For us, that means exercise, diet, changing habits, better sleep patterns, whatever it might be. Or you in the car thing, you would move closer to work, right? Maybe you get an apartment where you can walk to work, or you find somebody that you can carpool with, or you would switch jobs to be closer, right? There's things you change in your life. Guess what? Health with exercise, eating correctly, sleeping, all those different things. Those are the habits you need to change for this tool to be successful and continue to be successful in your life.
Huge opportunity to change your life, not just by taking the tool, but actually by changing a bunch of things.
Yeah.
That you do,
and I get it. If you're 100 pounds overweight, you're not going to the gym. It's tough. Not just the fact to go and jump on a treadmill, jump on a bike, or lift a weight when you're carrying all that other weight that is making it hard for you to even move. But just even the looks of people when I get it. It's a depressive moment. I remember when I went back to the gym the first time when I was about 50 pounds overweight, which is nothing, right? I look at myself then, I go, oh, I was fat. And everyone's like, yeah, you dad bod. I had 3 chins. But, they're like, yeah, that's not that bad. But I remember when I went back and I remembered that I used to be able to bench 4.5 plates when I was in my early 20s. And I could squat 5 plates. And then you go back and you put 145 on each side and you get through 6 and you're like, what happened to me, over the last 15 years, 10 years, whatever it might be. That gets demotivating immediately. Sure. So, this tool to get the weight down, when you get that weight down, at least take the opportunity. I know it sometimes sucks. Get a trainer, get help, work out with friends. You just need a good support group. But it is important. Otherwise, you're kind of just taking a shortcut to get one way, and then you probably are going to go back to what you were or close to.
Yeah, having the full game plan and having the doctors that we work with actually talking to them about the full game plan with stuff is,
sure.
What we're doing, which is amazing. One more thing on the GLP pill, you talked about a coating for it. And I know there's something you're looking at.
Oh, we use a few different things. I don't want to go into like all of our secret sciences, but use things like snack and different, coatings that allow you not to get absorbed or kill it in the stomach acid or through the mouth when you do the strips. But that's one of the things you build into anything you do. And sometimes when you use them and you go to test them, that coating may kill the peptide. So we've had, back and forth with a lot of products where, 5-amino-1, 50 milligram tablet, you put 55 in just to make sure that you're over. And then when you go to test it, when you do the whatever else you put in there and you go, wow, it went to 30. Well, what happened? Like, it's not like it just vanished. No, sometimes you destroy what is, and that's another thing. And we can get into another conversation, but all these people that are trying to put 6, 8, 10 peptides into one bottle, they don't always work that way. different acid and base levels and what they survive in. You know, all the bioregulators will kill each other when you put them in there.
Yeah.
So you just can't start throwing a million things in there. They have to be, you got to do a little bit of education piece or testing to see if they work. And that's where stability testing comes in. Most people just kind of rely on the fact that it's, oh yeah, we're gonna, because someone said that a peptide lasts a year or two in a lyophilized state means that every peptide does. Well, it doesn't. NAD is one of those that doesn't nearly last, and that's not a peptide. It's different, but it's still
sensitive to light. There's a bunch of different.
Yeah, I mean, people. I remember when we switched to brown bottles to give everybody a better product, and they just about shot me. They're like, oh, why are you trying to hide something by putting it in a brown bottle? I'm like, no, I'm trying to save your product
because to hide it from sunlight.
Yeah, because I know you probably just leave it on the counter and you open your fridge. I mean, it's any light. You open your fridge for 30 minutes 100 times a day with the kids going in and out and bottles just sitting there. I mean, all that's going to affect it. I'm just trying to make it last longer and work better for you. Sorry, I put it in a brown bottle. When you pull it out, guess what? The syringe is clear, so you get to see it then.
Yeah,
to make sure it's still right.
I mean, you kind of brought up another thing regarding blends and stuff. And there's obviously, we get asked questions all the time about why not blend this with this? Why do we blend this with this? So we do have a new one called Clo, K-L-O-W.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want to talk about that one at all? Why we did that particular blend and why we think it'll work well together?
You want the honest opinion?
I would love it.
Because everybody wants it. No, I mean, it's so the Glow, but we were the first ones to do the Glow blend. I have the trademarks. If anybody wants to try and challenge that, I can make sure you don't ever use that name again. But no, I would never do that unless you're a-hole. But we started the Glow a long time ago because, to be honest, I did it because it burned like hell. And I think I've said that in another podcast before. The first time I put GHK in my system and I did a milligram, I had a football-sized welt for a week and a half on my stomach. I thought I was never going to use the product. I still am so scared. I just injected straight into my butt cheek, into the muscle right there. But obviously there's a huge response, and that response is, amongst other things, is inflammation, massive amounts of inflammation in that area. So why not put a little BPC and TB-500 that work really well on healing and take that away? And you also get those benefits to the body, if you're using it, because a lot of people use Glow as an overall body healing and creating collagen, creating better fiber tissue and all that good jazz. I mean, I use it because it usually helps with my psoriasis, which is kicking right now. It's annoying, but when I'm on it reduces that effect. And those are all really good healing. And KPV is extremely good for wound healing. Antimicrobial, there's just a bunch of benefits to KPV being mixed in there. And it is stable. You're not going to get, 90 days out of it right now, unless we did some probably pretty big changes to molecularly how they coexist in a bottle, but you can still mix it and run it for 30 days. And, you're doing good on there.
Yeah. So I believe the Clo is it 50 milligrams of GHK, 10 and 10 of KPV, BPC, and TB-500.
Yeah.
So
we're using the full chain of the TB-500 in there. So there's a lot of people don't realize there's multiple ways to do it, but we are using full chain unless someone specifies they don't. So, we talk about the Dalton scale sometimes and why peptides don't absorb through the certain tissues. So when you're trying to absorb through, like for instance, your mouth, you want to be under about 800 on the Dalton. That's how big the molecule is. Well, the TB-500 is a very big chain. So, but the action of some of the pieces with like the anti-inflammatory and healing piece, well, you can get out of the first 4 and the end of the chain help with those. So that's a much smaller to get through the orifice in there. But we use the full chain in the Clo stack and the Wolverine and all those.
So how did you come up with the combination, not the combination of them, but more the milligram dosages for each one? What was the thought behind that?
So the Clo is really kind of a maxed out. Shouldn't say kind of. It is a maxed out. You don't really want to be running. It's actually too high for me. I don't use it personally, and I know, but I talk people out of taking stuff all the time because what do you do? I'm like, you don't want to do what I do because I'm a different person than you. You got to start somewhere else and you need to figure it out. But with Clo, you got 50 units or 50 milligrams. Normal dosage for GHK is about 1 milligram to 2 a day. So at 50, if you use it over a month period of time, you're getting just under a max dosage. So that's a good amount. And that means that you could extend it to 60 days and get 1.5 or 50 days, and you get kind of a base dosage, which is great. You get a very value driven bottle, right? And then you look at BPC. Well, we're not using BPC for necessarily healing an injury, but more of just that kick and some anti-inflammation pieces. So 500 microgram is normal. So 10 milligrams would be 20 days. Well, let's cut that in half because you're not using it specifically. I wouldn't give you Clo if you tore your knee apart, right? So we went down to 250 micrograms, which is still a dose that works. So it's kind of in that same range. Should we bring it to 12.5? It probably is closer to 12.5 if you go in there, because we always overdo it a little bit. TB-500 is, once again, just to kind of be with and stabilize with the BPC for that synergistic effect. And then the KPV is a very low amount. You generally are somewhere between 300 micrograms, 500 micrograms. So it's kind of the same as the BPC, even a little lower.
Yeah.
So you just get a really good month-long.
So it's a good maintenance dose. I mean, if somebody, I know
it's a full
yeah
maintenance dose of those products for 30 days and go up to 50.
So I mean, if you I guess maybe talk about some maybe good candidates that might want to consider it, and what I think about is probably people that don't like to inject themselves more than one time a day. We've got women, who are looking for the skin health, but the recovery as well. Everybody's got aches and pains. Is there anybody else you can think of that you're be kind of gearing that one?
Well, I mean, I use KPV specifically all the time, and I would use the Clo right now if I had it at my house. I actually use it because of the autoimmune disease aspect of it. And there's so many autoimmune diseases, but the KPV really helps with my psoriasis, with getting rid of the damage and the scarring effect of that. So I know this is really gross, but like I have like a ton of scars, like little ones. You wouldn't notice it until you get really close, but from acne, from psoriasis, and I'm people that know me, they sometimes go, do you have like a nervous thing where you're doing this? It's no, my freaking face and head itch when it flares up. And I have it under control when I'm home and I have everything and I use my peptides. I'll never get a flare up there, but it's when I go on the road for long extents of time, because I can't just bring everything with, and I bring some. But, if you're everywhere for 2 days, it's hard to keep everything cold.
Sure.
I don't want to be throwing out full bottles every 2 to 3 days. And then the other thing is I get tattooed and I put my body through extreme, tattoo doesn't sound like, oh, it's just a tattoo. Well, no, you take 1 to 10 needles and you shoot it into your skin
with
100,000 times in a day. I don't know, it might even more. It might be 1 million times by the end of the day. That trauma is going to, reduce how the body can react to other things. It loses track of, maybe keeping the psoriasis down, and it's just moving over there to heal the body, because you just have technically it's a giant open wound.
Right.
And trauma going on. And that's when I get it the worst. Whenever I get tattooed, and I keep tattooing myself, mom thinks I'm crazy. I'm now so
we
bad.
all think you're crazy, but we love you.
Well, I'm tattooing over all of my old tattoos now. So not that I'm not completely covered, but if you actually took all the tattoos that are under the tattoos, I probably would be completely covered at this point.
I'll ask you a question, because I've been hearing about this kind of behind the scenes. Everybody keeps going, have you heard about the new GLP or the GLP-4 or this or that? I'm like, yes, we've heard rumblings. I know we've had conversations where you're like, there's about 10 more coming down the line, but this is the new exciting one that everybody's talking about.
Jay Campbell is texting me every day. Do you have it yet? Do you have it yet? Do you have it yet? I'm like, it's coming. So we're supposed to have it this week. And I know by the time this airs, it's different, but that you probably cut that out. So yeah, the Biolutide, it's oral. So once again, we're going back to the oral. I think it was, I forget the code name for this one, but yeah, Biolutide is your GLP-1. That's semaglutide, Ozempic, whatever you want to call it. Then you got the GIP on there as well, which made tirzepatide or Mounjaro. And then the glucagon piece, which is what Retta, and that's not even out yet. And people were already asking for the next one that's not out yet. But retatrutide, which works wonderfully, by the way. And I don't know if going to Biolutide is necessarily the answer, because Retta is so easy. But yeah, for people that don't, want to inject themselves or want to maybe spot diet. I don't know. Like this is, I think, in phase 2 trials. Maybe it's moved on. I think it's actually moved on to 3. We put on IGF-1, and insulin growth factor 1 is, what human growth hormone converts to once it passes through the liver. And that's your building blocks of muscle tissue and, speeding up your metabolism. And, if you're young, you're growing, all those different things. It's going to help keep the muscle strong. So for the muscle wasting piece and the ability to work out, retatrutide is great with that glucagon response. That really helps people stay in the gym and keep their energy levels up, and
brain fog,
the thermogenic effect of that, and losing fat while not, hopefully not losing the muscle mass as well. Because you just run. I personally, when I do run, I run like 1 milligram a week of Reta, super low dose, and it's just it's honestly so I don't turn into a fat kid because I love sweets so much. You know that I eat ice cream every day. But that IGF-1 is going to help a lot of people that don't necessarily maybe get an hour and a half in the gym every day and force themselves. Even when I'm on Reta, I eat 6 meals a day.
Yeah. I mean, even with the Reta, the GLP-1R or whatever, we do hear from feedback from the doctors that we work with about the muscle wasting goes away because of that glucagon receptor.
It's very, very helpful for sure. And when you spread out everything on it, I think the initial results were semaglutide, you lose about 15% of your body weight
over a year.
And then tirzepatide was 20, and then Reta was 25. What we're seeing on Biolutide is right around 14, just under that. So for something that's orally stable-ish, I mean, once again, it's going to cost way more money, and you're not going to lose as much weight as Reta, right? But
you're not injecting yourself.
You're not injecting yourself. It's got all the components. There's got to be more, obviously, trials that are going to come out to see where it goes. But like I said, we'll have it done. We'll be able to start testing on ourselves here in a couple of days.
Awesome. So, I mean, we do hear about a bunch of people that have maxed out on the GLPs. Would going into something like that, if you are maxed out, to do something to hold you over be an option, or
no? Because you're playing with the same can of paint. You're sitting there going, well, you're going to paint the wall from blue to one shade darker blue. And you're like, is it really not? No, it's not changing anything. You got to change to a different receptor or a different pattern. And that's where amylin comes in. So that's where you cagrilintide, and I butcher this. The worst name on earth.
The new one.
Yeah.
It's on your sheet, right?
Yeah. Hold on. Let me look at this thing. Oh my God. Ovar Goblin? Yeah, this is the goblin. The goblin pill. I can't even read it. Or for Lifron, or for Lifron. I don't know, double take that one 3 times. Or for Lifron. Basically, okay, it's an amylin-based oral tablet, cagrilintide Z. So it just completely shuts your appetite down. So if you're maxed out on GLPs, you abused them, or your doctor led you astray, or you just followed the protocols, from the big pharma groups that just auto titrate you to way too much too quick. And, you're like, yeah, I was losing 8 pounds a week and they upped my dose for no reason. A good way to, if you drastically still need to lose weight, you can cut your dose down and add that in and hopefully get the receptors less burnt out. But for real, if you burn out, if you're on 15 milligrams of TERS or 12 milligrams of Reta already, I don't know anybody that bad. I would definitely
hear about it. It does happen.
So. Oh, I know you do more with the day-to-day kind of stuff, but I would just drop the whole darn thing and go on one of the amylin-based products, shut off the appetite, and still try and do the same as before, which is get some protein in you so you don't completely muscle waste away, but get off of those and let your receptors reset.
Did you go cold turkey on that?
I don't know. That's each. Every case is different. I'm not their doctor, and I don't know everybody's case. But I would definitely if you were on 12, go to 2.
Start looking at some other options on
Yeah,
it.
maybe you go
wean down
6, 4, 2.
There are a bunch of studies online about it that the doctors can refer to that other doctors have been doing. So, just something to consider with the amylin based ones, like you said, the cagrilintide and the.
Well, why don't you look at other things too? Why don't you look at using some kind of GHRH to help with your metabolism on top of that? Or why don't you look at using one of the mitochondrial functional ones? There's things like ATX.
Yeah.
ATX 304 is another oral that, doesn't have anything to do with GLP, but it does help with insulin sensitivity. It helps with, the ability. It has all these other really great benefits. And when you talk about something that is mitochondrial functioning and creating energy inside the cell to burn calories, that's a pretty healthy way to do it. That's why that whole working out while you're sitting on a couch thing comes out. So instead of pulling sugar out, which is one thing, which is absolutely needed for the people that drink 35 Cokes a day on normal, and they got to stop that whole function of their life and change it. But let's say you are just someone, I know people that are 100 pounds overweight and they eat as healthy as they can. And everything is just so out of whack on the body. There's got to be, like I don't have their blood panels, but you sit there and go, it's not just one thing.
Right. Thyroid,
blood,
whatever.
Yeah, there's so much going on to get there. But, let's say you are overweight and you just completely blew out those receptors and you're starting to put weight on while maxing those out. Ooh, you got a big problem because it ain't going to get any better, right?
Right.
You're probably that snowball's coming back down the hill and going back up or the other way, right?
Yeah.
So if you can take something to help with your energy levels, well, that's another trigger, right? And then use like an amylin product. So you can hopefully
the appetite suppressant.
Yeah, hopefully balance it back out, get it lower, and then use it correctly for more of a long-term goal, not a short-term goal.
Right.
And the ATX products is great too, because it really helps, the liver, most regenerative organ we have, skin, liver, those, they're great, compared to, heart and brain, kidneys, they stop working, they start going downhill. It's hard to get them back. The liver, you can cut the damn thing in half and it grows back. Liver fibrosis, as long as it's not too fat, it helps reverse all that much quicker. So even if you are damaging the liver, you can bring it back. Kidneys are hard. It actually helps with kidney repair. And it actually pulls cholesterol levels down in the blood. So people that have high cholesterol, I'm not a huge cholesterol freak about like worrying about it, because there's a ton now everywhere. You hear on Instagram, to people on TikTok, to ads saying, in 20, 30 years ago, the norm was 300 for cholesterol. Now it's 200. Well, you are right. But you know what? How many people had early onset heart attacks 30 years ago? My grandfather died in his mid 40s. I was talking to someone today. His grandfather died at 51. I'm not saying it's the cholesterol, but maybe there was a reason why they took the number down, right? Oh, things get adjusted over time. So let's look at the data. Just don't disbelieve someone that goes, oh, cholesterol. But there is still a lot of data.
Testosterone, you got everything that's changed over the years.
Everything's moving, right? There's more than just that, but there is a lot of really cool data when you start diving into it, and AI is going to sort a lot of this out for us because it doesn't have an opinion, right? But there's a lot of really cool stuff that came out about some of the longest living people have higher cholesterol. Just because you have higher cholesterol doesn't mean that it's what's going to kill you. There's other things going on.
One piece of the puzzle.
It's a piece to look at, right? So I have the most extreme cholesterol panel, and I'm more than happy to share this because VLDL is a 1 to 20 is the normal range. And most humans are 1, 2, and 3. And you've heard this probably on other ones podcast as well. I'm at 120. So freaking out, I'm going to have a heart attack. I must have a 50% blockage in my heart, all this stuff. I don't have anything. I did my whole heart scan. I don't have stress marks. I don't have plaque. I don't have buildup. It looks like a 10-year-old child of a heart with massively high cholesterol.
It's the same with me, isn't it? it's not so much cholesterol. They say it's saturated fats that we have to.
That's what I'm saying. So, well, let's look at cholesterol. Let's look at blood pressure. Let's look at, right, what fats? Unsaturated, saturated, polyunsaturated, monosaturated. I mean, there's all these different, some are good. Some are really bad. What are you putting in your body? You could drink a gallon of olive oil and it won't make you fatter. It just goes right through you. That's the difference. Now you cook it, whole different story, because once you heat it up, carcinogens get in there, you screw the whole process up. Don't laser focus on one thing. And people love this shock value stuff that, oh God, I don't want to even I hate calling people out, but I'm not going to. They just go on this rant about one thing. And sure enough, these people have 500,000, 1 million followers. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, cholesterol's not bad.
Yeah.
I can go eat bacon every day and my cholesterol will get 350 and it won't hurt me.
One guy said this, so I believe him.
Yeah. Right. Come on. No, it's not just that. But, educate yourself. If you do have high cholesterol and you've been scared and freaking out and, they want to put you on a statin, which I think statins are awful. I would agree. I would take high cholesterol over statin because they've tried to put me on that, thinking that I did have a blockage, and I did it for 2 weeks and I feel like I died. And
this was like recently. I remember this happening.
I mean, I was up in Napa, and don't get me wrong, I might have had a few too many glasses of wine. I was at one of the greatest tastings, if you know Schrader.
Mm-hmm.
Schrader is, in my opinion, and I know this is a peptide conversation, but we're going into wine for a minute because it does have resveratrol, which is very good for you, But Schrader is like, he's got 25 or 30 100 pointers over the last 20 years or something. I mean, the wine's just kick ass, right? If you look at Napa, that's the guy. Harlan, him, like these guys. I went to this tasting and it was all you can drink. I got invited to it. And they had every 100-point wine he had ever produced in magnums. So I may have made a few too many rounds, but I'm not a blackout guy. You've seen me. I've had 30, 40 cocktails that don't do this at home. I'm a big guy. I was in the alcohol industry. My body is just a little bit weirder. My metabolism's different. It filters. Don't get me wrong. I've been drunk, but have you ever seen me just completely black out?
No.
Where you can't hold me up. I don't know what happened.
Never.
Every night in Napa, I would wake up at 4:00 and be, where'd I go? And I would be, and I feel like I got hit by a train. And even if I wasn't drinking, I felt like I got hit by a train. It took me 30 minutes to get out of bed. I go, no, I'm not taking this. So I threw it away. And sure enough, luckily I did my heart scan where they actually killed me on the table doing my heart scan. But yeah, I'm good. So cholesterol might not be your problem, but
those other options.
Don't just think you can start eating like crap.
And also those other options that they give you. It's just, you need to look at all the pieces of the puzzle, I think, is the moral of the story here, right?
Yeah. Look at more than just one thing. I mean, if I freaked out every time I got a blood report, I remember my prostate markers, they came back. Doctor calls me. Hey, Trevor, I think we got some bad news. We're going to obviously do a follow-up, but we think you have prostate cancer. I'm like, oh God, do not do that to me, right? I don't want a radioactive nugget up my butt. And, of course, I'm just, oh shit.
And you got to wait a week to get in. It's on your mind.
Yeah, there's no escaping it. And, I had a buddy of mine, I'm talking to him. He's like, so I'm going through the same thing. Sure enough, little things in life that you don't think about. I was training to do an Ironman. So I was on Peloton, road bike every day for well over an hour. And on the, some of those classes you do in the Peloton, because it's great, like the HIIT classes and all that stuff, just to build up the legs and the stamina, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. What are you bouncing on?
Your butt.
Over and over and over again. Your prostate. So my prostate was just pissed at me from doing the bike. And I actually didn't have prostate cancer, but I had to go through that. So think about other environmental issues.
You had Peloton.
I had Peloton butt. So I threw it away after that.
Too
No, I'm just
funny.
kidding.
We got some new peptides coming out. We're announcing several soon. We're going to be educating the doctors and everybody about these as well. So as part of this, let's start with Humanin.
Oh gosh, Humanin. Okay, so Humanin is Humanin. This is what they show for a lot of people that live over 100 years old. Generally, have higher levels of this. And the reason why it's like a neuroprotector, and it covers the entire body. So when you look at it, okay, it helps protect neurons against like developing Alzheimer's. And then it also helps with mitochondrial function. It helps with insulin sensitivity, just anything that will help with that cellular protection. It helps with the cardiac function and protecting the heart as well. It's a very small peptide, and it's one of those that everybody on Earth should probably be taking. But the one just like you get with the human growth hormone pieces, there is some controversy in the fact that because it helps with protecting cells and all those pathways, that it can help with growth hormone or with cancer as well. So, if you are cancer prone, you have cancer, you've had cancer, you got to stay away from it. But if you haven't and you start early, it does really help with your circadian rhythm, right? Helping your rest sleep cycle and waking up. It's going to help you regulate that better. Your telomere health is going to be there. It helps with, the mitochondrial function that actually, helps burn away some weight. So it's kind of an all-encompassing product that will help the entire body all the way through. Hence why you would think with all those different benefits, heart, brain, weight loss, it's not even weight loss, but just weight regulation and sleep patterns and telomere health. If you have a good level in the body, you're probably gonna live longer from all those things.
Right.
So it's just a very good product. Now, it's run in very short cycles normally. So it's not something you would probably run year round. And then like, even when you get, which we'll get into FOXO4 later, people like do gene therapy on those things. And that one's less apprehensive than doing like a follistatin gene therapy in my opinion. But, there are people that run this year round. I don't know if that's necessarily the best case without,
which is what part of it is a research. We're kind of learning about how these are working within the body.
But it is good. And then that kind of gets into Pinealon, which is, or Pinealon. So it's there's a million ways to say it. It's kind of
Pinealon.
Yeah, I know.
Pinealon, yeah.
It's from the pineal gland. So Pinealon. And that's, the part of the brain that, once again, that's your circadian rhythm. You're going to help with the sleep cycles. It's a neuroprotective, helps with increasing memory. Anything with the brain in that sense is always, important to me. And it helps with not allowing like the cells that are on the edge of dying and helping, maybe recover some of those cells. So it's really good for recovery of the brain, we don't get to build new brain cells like we do the rest of the body. So anytime you can save one, I know you got billions and trillions of them in there, but it doesn't matter. You want to save every single one you get, because once they're gone, right?
Right.
The whole thing that people will live forever until we figure out how to actually make brain cells grow. We're not going to be able to live forever, because no matter what, you hold your breath, you kill brain cells.
Yeah.
You hit your head against the wall, you're killing brain cells. Minor, but in the grand scheme of things, probably not a big deal, but those little things will allow you not to live forever in the long term of it. So, and I'm sure we'll figure that out in the next 10 to 15 years too. But what happens when we start growing those is everyone just becomes superhuman. I don't know. Maybe that's how we beat machines.
Move to Mars.
Yeah.
with the Pinealon, however we're going to say it.
So Pinealon.
Is it going to be something you run cyclically as well?
So it's a bioregulator. It's small, so you can take it orally. You can take it through injection. It's just one's cheaper than the other. You only run it 10 to 20 days. And you just do that once, or I'd say once a year is enough for most people. Max 3 times a year. Twice a year is I'll probably do it. What I'll end up probably doing is just scheduling in my calendar, right? Because we're going to do all these in oral and injectable, and we're not going to name them like Pinealon, because we're actually using for the oral ones, you're using like a human, not a human, but like the actual live enzyme tissue product. You can't inject those, right? So the injectable ones are all synthetic. Orally, you take 20 to 50 milligrams a day for 10 to 20 days. Injection wise, that same dosage schedule, usually it's, you only need 2 milligrams, 4 milligrams, maybe 5 milligrams. Now people take way too much because it doesn't really matter. The difference between a bioregulator and a peptide is a peptide will take you beyond your natural limit, right? So, and that's why these GLPs work so well. If you just took your limit, all you do is you say, okay, if you can lose 8 pounds a year, we're going to make sure you can lose 8 pounds a year. That's your limit. No, we push it past it. We can eat 8 pounds in a day, right? We pulled all the sugar out of yours, but they're virtually indestructible, and you can't hurt yourself on them. Bioregulators, you just take them. They get you back to your normal, recover to what you should be doing if you had any damage or you have a slowdown with aging. You bring it back.
Yeah. Can you give us a good definition of a bioregulator if you were going to do it in kind of one sentence?
Oh, bioregulator is a peptide that's 3 to 8 chains long compared to peptides growing far beyond that. And then once you get over, I think 350, you become a protein.
And because the chains are so short, as you mentioned, you can't, it basically gets you up to a certain point. Can't overdo it.
It just does exactly what it does. And that's why peptides have been so exosomes, peptides, they have a function and they go do that function. They don't stray off. Stem cells, like actual real stem cells, you don't know what they're going to do.
Right.
They're going to do something, but you don't know what it actually is. These have a function. The bioregulars have literally one function. You're taking them for a specific, a kidney, an ovary, a testicle, So Pinealon is for the pineal gland in the brain. So you're taking it for that repair, that maintenance, hopefully, like I said, recovering something that might be damaged and bringing it back to normal.
Now, if somebody's having success with sleep for this, for example, you kind of mentioned you cycle on and off, but could somebody stay on it at a very low dose year round to help with sleep?
No, it's not necessary, because there's other things if you're worried about your sleep. What it should be doing is over those 20 days, resetting you and getting you back to where you need to be.
You don't need to do anymore.
Yeah. And then, like, you wear a watch and, like tourbillon watch, you have to wind it every 48 hours, right? So think of it as you're winding your watch.
Yep.
Your brain.
Yeah. Little reset.
Yeah. If you think you have more trouble sleeping than most, maybe you do it every 3 months. Like I said, but you don't need to take it all the time.
Cool.
Yeah. Take DSIP.
Yeah.
I know you guys, the one that everybody's going over, the NAD.
Oh yeah.
Which it's probably one of the most confusing conversations you'll have with people, because everything I tell you about one and why you have to use the other makes the other one sound like, why would you use that one?
Right. And we're kind of talking about synthetic versus bio-fermented here.
So why would you use bio-fermented over synthetic? Or so when you go to most of your IV places that pump out, then they go to their compound manufacturer, they're pumping out synthetic NAD. Well, it's actually way worse than it's not as clean. It doesn't last as long. It's not as bioavailable in the brain. It may not create the NAD response that you're looking for compared to a biofermented product. The synthetic, right? All these things. But why do we have to use that for IV? Well, it's not a live fermented product, right? It's controlled, and we can clean it. It's actually a really dirty product. You have to clean it a lot in order to get it to the point where you put it in there, but you can control that process in doing so. But it breaks down faster. It's way more temperamental, but it's synthetic, right? So, and that's the same, like we talked about the bioregulars, you can orally take the ones that are from like tissue. you can only inject the synthetic versions. And
Right.
that's where now you can still use bio-fermented NAD in an IV, but you just got to make sure endotoxin levels are correct, really low, and all those things, because when you have something that's fermented and it technically is growing, you can grow endotoxin with that. Whereas the synthetic, you're controlling that piece.
Right.
And that's why you're cleaning it to the point where you're going. But the reality is it's a far inferior product, and it's worse for the environment. It's not the natural version of it. I don't know.
What's your take actually? I think on
I never carry
on IM on versus doing an IV, because I mean I always say I'm too impatient to sit for 4 hours and do it, and I love the bio-fermented for IM that we do. So
I mean, this is the thing. I've done IVs of bio-fermented. That's fine. It's just way stronger.
yeah, it's gonna kick you in the butt.
Yeah. So when you do it, if you're used to doing
500 milligram.
Yeah, I have a friend, John. He owns a bunch of clinics. John's like, yeah, every Friday I do 1,000 milligrams of NAD. I go, try and put 1,000 milligrams of bio-fermented through here. Oh, he was done at 500 milligrams.
Yeah.
Whoa, this is a whole different ballpark. It's a different product. It's way stronger. It just is and the other reason why you use synthetic, it's way easier to make. It's fast and it's cheaper, right? Because now, if you make it poorly, you have to keep cleaning it to get it right. Maybe not. But in general, I can make a batch of synthetic in a day. It takes 3 to 4 days to do the fermented, hence the price difference.
Right.
But I only do. So let's go back to what you were saying. Why IM versus, well, I mean, there's all these different things about NAD, and, I have my opinion, and opinions are assholes. So I'll be one of them. I think Dr. Seeds, and don't quote me, he would always say, like, you have to do this massive amount to kickstart the process through an IV to show the brain.
You front run it
like this is what you can take so that it can absorb it and use it better. And that might be the case. That's the thing. Personally, I know I use mine in low dose on a daily basis, like a Monday through Friday, if I'm home for long periods of time. But then I travel a lot. So I just kind of take it every day I am home, and I don't use it when I'm gone. It's a completely different world for me with how much energy I have.
Mm-hmm.
And I do 3 cc's of water. And so I'm about 75 milligrams.
Okay.
A shot, because I do 25.
Yeah.
I use each shot, that means there's 12 shots in a bottle, 1,000. Yeah. So about 75 milligrams. So I do 75 milligrams IM. I don't get necessarily the crazy rush.
Yeah. I do about 125 to 150, but twice a week. Right.
Yeah. And that's the thing.
Yeah.
Everybody plays with it differently.
But I like that. I like that.
I can feel the little bit of, if I do it and I go, oh, I forgot something upstairs and around some, the restriction of the bronchial region with, I was going to say dilation, but it's not. But when your bronchial tighten up. Oh, what is it? Yeah, sorry, thank you. I'm like, why am I blanking right now? Yeah, when
just let them swim.
I know.
Over here.
I'm drowning. They're constricting. Yeah, when the lungs constrict, and you get that tightness in your chest, and you feel like you can't breathe a little bit. I don't get as much of that right at 75, but yeah, right when you get to like 125, 150, you feel it.
Yeah,
and between 150 and 200, there's a high chance I go down.
Really?
Oh, I passed out a million times. Yeah. Or I'm like, oh boy, find something soft.
And that's that biofermentation process that takes 4 days, where you're basically what you're saying is, because we're kind of going through and doing that process, is it's growing, it's alive in a way, right? And
it's just a different process. Yeah. The manufacturing of the raw materials and then into processing it, putting it through the lyo, and then testing and all that is a different process than using the synthetic, which is way faster.
And by doing it, it's supposed to break the blood-brain barrier quicker, which is why you feel it kind of more that we feel it, and increase the energy levels.
it's more when you put it into the bloodstream, it recognizes it more effectively and efficiently than a synthetic. And that's the same thing when we talk about human growth hormone, right? So I started taking growth hormone before all these GHRHs and GHRPs became popular, available, right? And the one we had was when I first started over 10 years ago was Simorlin, right?
Mhm.
That doesn't, I mean, it does. I hate saying this because people still use it. It's FDA approved, but great. It bumps you 25%. That sounds like a really big number. I mean, if you told me today that I could have 25% more money, I'm stoked. But when your HGH or IGF-1 number is junk, 25% of crap is still crap.
Right.
So
25% more crap.
You got 25% more crap, but most people are between 100 and 150.
Right.
And obviously there's different blood tests that will show different things. And they have a new one that makes you feel better about yourself. That the range on most of the tests used to be, I think like 100 to 180 was the norm.
Yep.
And then there's this new one that's 120 to 270.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm at 200. They just move the numbers around to make you feel better about yourself. But I think I was 102 when I did my first blood reading before I started it. Well, that gets me to 125. I'm still below the average
range, right?
Yeah, like that's not doing me any good. Whereas when I went to the synthetic growth hormone and I was doing 4 IUs a day, I was up at 385.
Right.
That's a jump.
Right.
That's when you get those massive effects with the metabolism, hence why I can eat ice cream every day and all that good jazz. But when that's a synthetic product, right? I mean, synthetic HGH. The amount of side effects you go through for months on end while your body is getting used to all this, and with all that growth hormone in there, the back aches. I thought I broke my back for 3 months. Every morning I have to do egg rolls in bed for 10 minutes just so I can get my feet over the edge and get out of bed. I thought I hurt myself. It was just that thing.
You were growing.
I wasn't growing.
No, I mean your body. Things in your body.
Yeah, I was just having all these adverse, synthetic.
Your muscles growing.
Well, it's also my body's going, whoa, where'd this come from? This isn't supposed to be here.
Yeah.
Right. And I couldn't close my hands because my swelling in my hands and my feet, I couldn't fit on my shoes for some weeks. Whereas you go to tesamorelin and ipamorelin, which naturally stimulate your own growth hormone process. I mean, you got to get some of that. You don't get nearly the same outcome. I mean, when I was giving you the 4X blend that we make, you were at 580.
Yeah.
You were 200 200 points above me with your own growth hormone. You were not having any of those side effects.
Right. No.
Right?
No.
So think about it like that. When you're using an NAD synthetic, you're probably not getting the real result that you're wanting. You're getting a result, just not as good as it should be.
So this is actually kind of an interesting thing that comes up a lot because people do ask, are your peptides synthetic? Right.
Well,
and so how do you,
you have to. So there are things that aren't. So you can't, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to go over to you and just start pulling tesamorelin out of your bloodstream?
Yeah. It's not like we got a human farm that we're drawing.
No, it doesn't work that way. So they are synthetic, everybody.
Right.
You found out a secret.
It's
That's what everybody,
right.
Yeah. You make them. Now, what are they? They're just amino acids that you put together to create
you're signaling
that
your
peptide
body, right?
For the signal response.
Right.
We're not, we're not making them out of, silicone or anything. It's not synthetic that way. It's not your synthetic motor oil.
It's synthesized.
It's synthesized. Yeah.
So, and that's
not growing these
that's
things.
A good thing for everybody to understand because that's the nature of this industry. You're not getting real, BPC. We don't have somebody that's
but okay, that's the difference why stem cell isn't legal in this country, which I think it should be. But that's coming, and we do use human tissue products.
Sure.
Blood cord, all this stuff. But those are from tissue compared to something that is made, in a lab. But we do have other products that are made in a lab that are similar to those that just, once again, you don't do that with peptides,
right?
Nor would you ever want to.
Yeah.
What do you want me to do? Let's try and find really skinny people with low blood sugar and then start sucking the GLP-1 out of them?
Right. No.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's a good question because it does come up, right?
Yeah.
You know, people
okay.
do get confused about it. So,
Okay, what's the other one that I was? Does your peptides have salt in them? They're supposed to.
yeah.
Would you like, depending on what peptide it is?
Oh, is this the one I asked you yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many of them. I mean, the way you bond them together sometimes uses salt base to bond them together. Salt's natural,
Right.
so okay. Here's another one. I don't want mannitol in there. Jay Campbell's one of big ones. He doesn't like using mannitol in his products. Well, if you get a bottle of peptide with that, I mean, people call us freaking out all the time, like, oh my God, the puck isn't on the bottom, or it broke. Is it dead? No. Is it ideal? No. When we made it, it probably was perfect. Sometimes they do break in shipping and stuff like that, but it doesn't mean it's a destroyed product, right? If you look at a bottle, when we don't use mannitol, we use just water, which a lot of products you can't do it that way.
And this is during the lyophilization.
Yeah, when you're actually doing it in the lab. It looks like there's nothing in the bottle. It looks like there's maybe little scattered specks on the bottle. People are going to look at it. There's nothing in here.
Right.
Right. So no matter what, everybody's an expert.
Yeah.
People call me all the time and they tell me why something went wrong. The other one, the vacuum. There's no vacuum in the bottle. Well, there's a vacuum. It might not be as strong as another bottle that you got that pulled in sometimes, it's massive vacuum in there, but there had to be a vacuum created to when we make the product.
If the product's in there was a vacuum.
Yeah. It's not necessarily as high as others. And they're like, oh, that means it's contaminated. No, it doesn't. The bottle's sealed. There is a vacuum in there. You can't just turn it over and dump it out. Like, take the cap off and it's not going to just pull out. There is a vacuum. It's just not as necessarily maybe as strong sometimes. And that could be because of how much is in that bottle, how big is the bottle, what peptide you're using. If you create too much of a vacuum, can you damage it that way? So I don't know. Some people just, ChatGPT gave everybody a chair at the table.
Yeah. I mean, it's good to educate everybody on it and have discussions about it. If there are doctors out there that, want to learn and actually for a good reason and, they're wanting to do things for a safe way. So
I appreciate that. Just I hear
what you're saying.
When you come at somebody, like they're trying to screw you. Or
yeah. That's the question. We're always going to work with you guys. And
just, it's okay to learn. I learn every day. I'm not, Nishal is the scientist. Yeah. He's the doctor.
Yeah.
Right. Chris, he's a doctor. That guy's got 27 patents.
Yeah.
That works in one of the facilities that we own. And
we'll call him Dr. Chris.
Dr. Chris. And Dr. Chris is so smart that he's hard to have a conversation with sometimes. Yeah. But the reality is I don't know nearly as much as he knows.
Right.
But he also has a really hard time explaining to somebody anything because he is so on the scientific side. So I'm just kind of that happy median dumb guy that just happens to own laboratories.
I call you my encyclopedia. So
I see everything, I can pick some of it up, but no, there's so much stuff I learn every day. And, I have partners in different parts of the businesses that we own, and those partners are geniuses. I mean, one of them built all the high speed rails and decided to learn organic chemistry and get into peptides for fun.
Yeah. And he speaks Chinese
and Japanese.
Yeah.
And he's Irish. So you look at that. He's way smarter. I hear him talk back and forth with the science. And even then he learns something on every single phone call because there's just so much going on in the industry.
I mean, the team that you've put together is, that's the thing, is a bunch of different minds that can have a bunch of different conversations.
Yeah.
Right.
We're constantly growing that too. Yeah. I mean, if I could have 100 more geniuses that knew different things. So, we hired a nanoscientist for nanotechnology. We hired somebody that literally 2 or 3 guys that all they did was peptides. We have people that are just really good at aseptic. I have a guy that's really proficient on gounding.
Which is what you need. The labs are,
Yeah. People don't realize it takes 30 minutes to get ready to walk in the lab.
Yeah. I love.
You don't just throw on a chingadera and
I love the video
Go
Kristen
in.
just took the other day. She apologized because it was so blurry, and the reason it's blurry is because she had to gown up her cell
Yeah,
phone.
we
right?
alcohol
so I'm
wipe the whole phone, and then we alcohol wipe the bag. Then we put the phone in the bag, and then we alcohol wipe the entire bag for her to go into the lab with her phone.
Which I'm like, that's fantastic. I mean, don't apologize. It's showing what we're doing.
Yeah, guess what? Here's another one: airflow. So, I mean, if you don't think we own labs, and we're making this in China, go for it. I'll take the test any single time. Well, I remember one time I was in our lab when, once again, I'm not the smartest guy in the lab, but you just have normal habits. I remember pointing at something and my hand went over products they were doing. We had to trash the whole thing because the airflow, we have both. We have a lab that all the airflow is horizontal, and then we have airflow that comes down. So in one, you can't walk in front of what you're doing from where the airflow comes, and you do smoke testing and all this stuff to make sure. But you can't walk this way because the airflow is this way. You're pushing anything that might be on your body, even though you're gowned up and should be fine, into the product behind you. You got to trash it.
Right.
So if you have anything, if you have a downward, you can't put your hand or anything above a vial. Because if there is anything, the airflow has forced that down, possibly into the bottle. You have to trash it.
Right.
And that's why we even have ISO 5 hoods inside of our ISO 5 labs.
Right.
Because it just makes it a lot easier, because if you're using a glove box, you can go over and around. It doesn't matter because everything in there is zero. Otherwise, you're trying to fill with downward flow. You can't do it.
Right.
Right. So
there's a lot of checks.
There's a lot of stuff that we do that no one even realizes. It's you GMP'd. Do you even know what you go through to get that?
We'll kind of turn it back to the
peptides.
peptides. So let's do FOX DRI.
FOXO4. So FOXO4 is this is a very expensive peptide to produce, and it doesn't. Once again, it does a lot of different things. But FOXO4, I did it mainly to help with my mom for her cancer piece. It helps with like restricting tumor markers, inflammation, regenerative pieces of the body. It's one of those things that it's too expensive for people just to take. It's more of a specialized peptide. But when I think I was talking earlier that people are doing FOXO4 gene therapy to basically have more of this produced naturally by the body. And when you do gene therapy, you're planting RNA next to DNA to create the response, right? And it's going to create that response. I think they have now therapies where it lasts for 2 years. I think the original ones that last for a lifetime, right? And that's one of the things, like, how are you really supposed to continue to produce that much all the time forever more? That's scary, like full of statin. I go, well, technically, that shutting off that region and creating more muscle and not letting degradation happen. Well, your heart's a muscle that might create a larger heart and give you a heart attack, right? So there are some what ifs, but yeah, FOXO4 was is very, very powerful for cancer treatments and longevity in the cellular level and inflammation markers around there.
So good one for our doctors that are working with us to study up on if they are doing stuff for cancer treatments, or would prevention be something as well with that?
I mean, if it's maybe if you have it in your family lineage, sure, absolutely. As you get older,
we got PNC-27, 28. Everybody's going to ask you, are they the same?
What
is
is
one's
the
better?
Honestly, they're very similar. The PNC-28 is short acting, PNC-27 is longer acting. And they do help with different cancer models better, but they both work on cancer, mostly with tumor markers. And what they'll do is through mitochondrial expression, they help break apart the tumor and shrink the tumor. So then studies and in vitro animal studies, all this, it's not technically for human use yet, but what you see from actually attacking tumor cells and breaking them down has been very, very promising. And things like, and even like bad ones like pancreatic, leukemia, breast. My mom had she's had 4 stints of breast cancer. first one, actually it's 3, I guess. But, the first one we used the traditional route of chemo and, nearly killed her, but it beat it. A couple of years later, comes back and she did chemo again. I obviously was like, hey, mom, you want to try these with it? Oh, no, my doctor said no. We just doing chemo. Then she did the chemo and lost all of her weight, came out, was supposed to die. They, spread, gave her 4 months to live. Took me 2 months to get her immune system back. And then from there, we were able to, attack the cancer different with NK and peptides, all that kind of stuff. And we killed all the tumors and she was fully in recovery. And then she went under for some surgeries because she ended up, tearing the ligament in her shoulder and breaking her elbow. There's all these problems, old people. Then when she went under, just being under sparked, I guess, the cancer to come back again. And we used NK again, and it held it when we were using it, but it didn't stop it. As soon as we stopped the NK, the tumors grew and they moved around. So the first one was on her jugular and her optic nerve, and then the next one was on her carotid artery, and that created a ton of problems. And but they gave her 3 days to live.
Mm-hmm.
She was rushed so that I was in the process of working with a group to do a combined therapy treatment of what I do with what I wanted them to do. And it was in a different state. I had to move her out there. My dad has all sorts of problems because he doesn't let me help him. He finally agreed to let me help him now that he, cat out of the bag. My mom's healthy,
right,
doing really well right now. But yeah, when I got her out there, she was rushed to the hospital. The doctor's like, you got 3 days to live.
Yeah.
Call everybody, let them know. Freaking told my dad, yank her out of there. And we got her into the treatment. But yeah, we used high dose PNC-27. And with that, in conjunction with a few other treatments, all of her markers came back down to normal, shrank the tumor all the way down to where it was bulging. You couldn't see it anymore. She put on about 10 pounds back on, eating all that good stuff. And we were able to send her home after a month with her blood levels looking great. But it's very, very targeted on attacking tumor cells. So if you are going through treatment or you have problems, I mean, we were dosing her with low dose chemo with sugar to trick the cancer, and then jamming her with insulin, which is also a peptide, to drop her glucose levels so low that the cancer starts freaking out. So what you administer, so if you administer 5% of the normal chemo, so you don't give her anything that will poison the rest of her body, coat that with sugar. Guess what happens?
They're hungry.
Cancer eats it because it eats first, and then she didn't get any of the side effects. So she kept all of her hair and had energy. And don't get me wrong, it's little things, stomach maybe a little bit, but not throwing up.
Yeah, mostly full dose of chemo. So
yeah. So we did that in conjunction with those and shrank everything down.
So let me ask you this: why use the 27 over the 28 in that instance?
I mean, you could use both. They're both,
at the same time.
Yeah, they're both linked to the P53. But the one, and like I said, I am not an oncologist by any means. So I specialized in breast P20.
And this protocol came from your oncologist that you were working with, I'm assuming.
No, actually, no. So two of the chemist doctors that I have that work for me, one created a nano lung cancer attacking treatment that was successful. And the other one is involved in other cancers, and one of them being breast. And PNC-27 was what I had already known about it. And I asked him to start making it before. And sure enough, when this happened, he calls me. It's like, hey, I heard what happened. I'm making you a bunch of bottles. I'll overnight them to you. 2 days. I got to make them of PNC-27. That's the longer acting chain. He's like high doser every day.
So you did the longer. So the 20 is a shorter.
Yeah, I think the shorter is more for like blood and like something like the pancreas.
Okay.
Which is in and out. But if you have a fast acting cancer, you kind of need a fast acting
Right.
version of the PNC.
Yeah.
But I don't quote me on that. That's
So more research to be done.
yeah,
on it.
definitely do more research on it because, like I said, cancer is such. I get calls all the time because people have seen me and the success I've had with my mom. And don't get me wrong, a lot of other people. There's a lot of therapies out there, and you don't know if it was easy, it would have been cured. And we probably do have the cure locked away somewhere.
Right.
I mean, we've done a lot in the last couple of years. I mean, my mom should have been dead twice,
Right.
and we brought her back. This isn't.
I tell the stories because I saw it with my own eyes.
It's not a, you know, stage 1. No, stage 4, you're going to die. You have no chance in hell. And both times we got her back.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, she's just gone through it with this. And she's like, next time it happens, just let me go.
Yeah.
Sail me out on a boat. Take me to the Caribbean.
Yeah.
You know, die on a beach
So
somewhere.
I
got a lot of work to keep her.
Yeah.
Keep it from coming back ever again. So yeah, trust me, we're going to keep her on PNC. I'll probably run that every 2 to 3 months. I have her on NK nebulize treatment, and she's doing that once a month. And then we're doing, we'll keep her on the low dose chemo treatment probably 1 to 2 days a month. Just kind of keep, if there's anything in there, we're going to kill it. But we got it all at bay.
I guess we'll move on to the next one. This one's probably going to be a little bit more fun to talk about is BAM.
Bam.
So tell me about BAM.
Bam. I mean, this is like another one of those mitochondrial weight loss peptides that people are.
And what's the full name?
Jazzing.
BAM. Is there a number with this one? Or
15.
BAM
15.
All right.
Yeah. So BAM 15, it's a mitochondrial uncoupler. So through the mitochondrial process creates insulin sensitivity to help with weight loss without using a GLP. So in essence, these always will work with, hence why we put Sloop with GLP-1 and, you know, people use, it's really cool because it's a whole different mechanism to help with the weight loss piece. And anytime you can work with energy in the body, it's great. Now, the one problem you have is people that don't have mitochondrial issues. You're probably not going to see the same result as people that do have mitochondrial issues, right? So people like me, I'm pretty energetic all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I only sleep like 5-6 hours a night. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, there's days that I have, but I mean, most of the time, even if I'm exhausted or what I think is exhausted, I get 7. And
right.
I can't stay past that. You know, I think my mitochondria are functioning very, very well. And like you said, if you work out and create that mitochondrial response and reaction in the body to release things like MOTS-C, then you're going to be good. Now, I still do SS31 because that will help with brain recovery and mitochondrial, rebuilding. Yeah. And like I said, you can't redo your brain cells once they die. So I do use the products, 3 times a year, kind of rotated every 4 months. But if you are really trying to lose weight, or you just want to see about getting a little extra energy and burn a few extra pounds off over a month, I don't personally, I haven't seen it where it just shreds somebody up, but there is more and more data coming out. It's on the newer side.
And something good for we talked about the GLPs is kind of another option. It's not going to do the hunger suppressant.
Yeah.
You might have somebody with a goal that they really don't need a GLP, but
actually makes you more hungry if you think about it. So when you create more energy to burn calories, you're going to create,
which is not a bad thing
food.
Either, right? Because if you eat healthy, you're doing the lean proteins.
Okay.
So you got somebody that's like actually has the good habits in it. Probably a good.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because if you put the right food in the body, the result will be good. Because if you put more muscle mass on, you burn more calories. Right. So don't only think, oh, I need to get fat off the body. Think about getting muscle on the body. That's why the GLPs are a miracle. They really are a miracle. And I've talked about this with like Hunter and some, other people in the industry. If you gave us 2 years and a very minimal budget, I'd say less than $1,000, we could cure obesity on Earth. Because some people I wouldn't have to use any of the money, but even like worst case scenario for what to do, if you do it the right way, and I'm not talking about changing people's everything about them. Like I said, I eat ice cream. I eat red meat. But there are things that I realize that I don't need in my food that don't make me any happier. Right.
Right.
So, but, creating and eliminating some food noise and all this stuff, but balancing these things out and really looking at someone and going, you're not just a GLP-1 issue, you're a XXXX issue. Doing that, we could solve obesity on Earth.
And I think that's the important thing is there's so many options within this, right? A lot of like the GLPs got so hot, but you've got, so many options within the peptide world to really look at. And like for each person, what's going to work well. Something might not work well for you, but it's going to work great for somebody else, right?
All the GHRPs, all the GHRHs, all the mitochondrial function options, all the amylin options, all the GLP-1 options, right? You just start going through. Now they're 10 years ago, 3. Now, 100.
Yeah. And you're really talking about optimizing it.
Yeah. Rotate these bad boys too. That's, you talk about not wanting to burn out receptors. Now, once again, clearing the head, that I love the doctor that called me the other day, and he was hell bent on putting CJC and testosterone and Somorelin all in the same bottle. They all do the same thing. I'm like, why the hell would you do that? You're actually going to create a problem where they don't know who's supposed to bind and create the response of releasing growth hormone.
Mm-hmm.
You're an idiot.
Right.
Okay. So doctors do dumb things all the time. And the other one is, we'll put like 20 different things in the bottle. Well, people don't realize that not all mitochondrial pieces are meant to be taken at the same time.
Yeah. Which I think actually we'll do this one just because I think it's an interesting conversation is the Wolverine blend, right? So we've had this conversation before and we don't need to go too deep into it.
I fought this for years.
So, but with the Wolverine blend, I'd say probably good for somebody that's just trying to do some maintenance, like old athlete that's sore, but you got a acute injury. I know the answer, but I'll cue you up is like, why would you do them separately versus together? Right. And so this
I'll do one better. If you're not injured, why are you taking it? Oh, because, I want to recover faster. Well, there's other ways to recover faster, but inflammation is not always bad.
Right.
Just like estrogen isn't always bad. Just like testosterone isn't always bad. Women need testosterone. You don't think of it that way, but they do. Almost every woman over 40 going through menopause needs probably to be on testosterone. But we have these fixated things in our brain that you're supposed to take things, right? Jumping in a cold plunge after a workout is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Right.
And I see, not like I said, I don't call people out, but you see people online and it's like, oh, the cold plunge down, these guys. And they're like, I see baller busters go after some of these guys that they're complete idiots.
Right.
And they're just selling people, they're the same preacher, on the corner dipping people in water and, oh, you've been saved. But you don't want to be pulling all the inflammation out of your body because when you work out, you are creating good inflammation. Right. So taking Wolverine just for shits and giggles, I don't think is a smart move. But why do you take them separately? Well, I look at it is I'm not going to ever take that product unless I'm trying to create a specific response, not just because. And I think the Wolverine for a lot of people has turned into, oh, it's cool, so I just take it. But when you have an injury, and I say a real injury, you had a surgery, you have an actual broken bone, even a tattoo. I would do, you know what I would do? Wolverine for things like this, or a strain, or a muscle tear. It is perfect for all those things. Absolutely. But being sore, no, that's a blessing. I wish I could be sore.
Yeah, and I'm talking old NFL players have been knocked around their whole life.
Yeah.
Right?
It's okay. So things like that are very beneficial. You're right. Thank you. That's very beneficial. But if you are injured, do you want to take a baby aspirin every 3 hours, or are you going to take a
Excedrin
or a 4 Excedrin to get rid of a migraine because it's so bad? That's why if you have an injury, TB-500, 5 milligrams at once, not a little at a time. You're shooting a BB gun out of a grizzly bear.
Mm-hmm.
Take a bunch, take that shot.
You want to hit it hard.
So you do that. You do it in the stomach. You do that twice a week. BPC, absolutely. Spread it out a little bit. It only has a 4-hour half-life in the body. TB has a 3.5. That's why you do it twice a week. Do a lot at once. to start the functionality. BPC and the injury, I do twice a day.
Mm-hmm.
Do it at night when you lay down to sleep. That is your recovery piece of your time. That's why sleep is so important. That's when you're recharging the batteries and rebuilding muscle tissue. And if you're not going to get sleep, you're never recovering, right? So do it right before sleep. So you are recovering heavy before, but during the day, you also are, probably creating bad inflammation because of the injury or you're having problems. Use a little bit in the morning to help with that, that pain, that inflammation response.
Yeah. So, and kind of in summary of that is we talk about mixing them together. The way I always kind of frame it is if you really want to hit it and do it right, you can't put 10 milligrams and 10 milligrams in one vial.
You're not hitting
and
it.
Do either protocol properly.
Correct. Because you don't want to inject 5 milligrams of BPC either. Now, is it going to hurt you? No.
Right.
Realistically, the chance of anything bad happening, I mean, you need so much.
Right.
Like 1,000 times more than that to have a problem. But let's talk about reality and what you're trying to do. Like I said, I'm all about best response with the least amount of product that you can put in.
Right.
And 5 milligrams of TP at once, twice a week. So 10 milligrams a week. And the BPC, even at 1 milligram a day, you're only at 7.
Yeah.
Right? So you're under that. And that's high. Most people only need a half.
Yeah.
When I broke my neck, I was using broken neck, C6 in half. 4 titanium discs, the whole deal. I don't think I used 1 milligram.
Right.
I was using 5 milligrams of TB twice a week, half a milligram before bed.
Yep.
And I was using a lot of growth hormone.
So there's thought when doing blends of what we're going to potentially do and not do. Right. So I know we've kind of talked about Wolverine might not be your favorite thing if people are using it in a certain way, but
it's just being smart.
But we're also not going to make something that just because somebody says to make it, right? You brought up the CJC, Tesamorelin, I think
I won't
no, that's not going to do anything and we're not going to do it. Right.
No, not anything we sell on any of the sites or to people. I always let them know this isn't going to work. Or if you're going to do this, you should invest in stability testing. They go, well, oh, you don't have stability testing? I go, well, no, I would never make this blend. I'm not saying it isn't going to work, but scientifically, chemistry wise, it doesn't look like it would pencil out. Now, some of the greatest ideas in history shouldn't have penciled out.
Right.
So it doesn't mean you're wrong. But when I tell people, I go, well, I'm not going to invest in your weird idea. I'll make it, but you're going to pay for it. But these so many people want you to, they think they're geniuses. And when you tell them, well, yeah, you should do stability testing, it's going to be an extra, $1,500. That's nothing. Or they go, well, what's your minimum run? I can't make less than 1,000 bottles of a single item. Like you just can't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we've got to hold on to them, and if there's demand for it.
Yeah, exactly. So like, well, can you just make me 100? Well, no, because I have to make 900 of something that I don't want to make.
Right.
Right. So it really comes out, and then you don't even trust yourself to buy your product, nor do you trust do you want to run stability testing on your thing? Every product we make costs well over $25,000 to $50,000 in testing. The originals.
Right.
I mean, back and forth to labs. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Adjust.
Yep.
And then, okay, we think it will work. Okay, now make a full batch or a partial batch, run all the tests again. Okay, now you make a full batch, run tests, and go, okay, now we're going to make a real batch, 10,000 of them.
Right.
Oh, fail.
Right.
Great. There goes $140,000. Dumping down the drain. And we've done that. I think we had 1 week, we dropped $5 million.
Yeah.
Lost $5 million in product. 1 week, all new products, 9 new products. Science team thought they had them all. They went in. Clo was actually one of them. Mm-hmm. We did 4,500 Clo twice. Both fails. 9,000 bottles of Clo in the dumpster. Yeah. So you think you have it right. And that's the AOD experiment with the other one, because the AOD gels, any of the frags just gel like crazy.
Yeah.
And everybody returns them. And I didn't make AOD for a long time because it drive me nuts. Everybody calling, your product, this, you suck. That's what it does. Oxytocin gels. That's why we don't have oxytocin right now. Every oxytocin batch that we're doing, we're trying to make it right. Because if you actually test a lot of the oxytocin out there, it's 1 milligram when it says 10. Really low, because otherwise there's an issue with it. Right. And trust me, the guys that make good oxytocin, I love the trade secret if you want to help a brother out here. Because some reason that just keeps eluding us. But yeah, when we figured out how to make AOD not gel.
Mm-hmm.
We have it instead of it a 1 in 10, 2 in 10 model, which it was, and the people that make it like crap, it's like 5 out of 10. We're down to 1 out of 100.
Yeah.
For the gel.
Yeah, I don't hear about it much anymore.
No, you don't, because we figured it out, but we spent hundreds of thousands of dollars fixing it.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, part of the game, and but we're doing everything.
Thank God for research credits,
so,
right?
Yeah,
we'll see if we get them. But
I guess the next one, ARA 290, I believe.
Oh, R290 is great. So
ARA is how we're saying it.
ARA 290, I said R 290. Okay. What's why Sloop? It's not really Sloop, it's SLUPP322, but R 290. R 290 is very, very good for people that have neuropathy.
Okay.
You think of it as a BPC TB-500 type model, but for people that have actual real serious issues, and it could be from anything, mostly old age and things that beat up the body over time, problems with spinal degeneration, or I know some people, a big one is overusing benzos and opioids.
Oh, interesting.
Burning out receptors and causing the body harm in that way, where their hands feel like they're on fire. Chemo causes it. There's just tons of things. Neuropathy, tons of problems, right?
Would stenosis be something that
get
with this?
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Anything in that.
I mean, we get, it is a random one, but we get those questions a lot.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so like Dave, he can't feel his pinky right now.
Right.
So we've been using, he had his, what was it? I had my C6. I think it was C8, 2 down. Is there C8? I think it goes to C8 and then it goes to the lumbar. And it was horrible. He was freaking out. And I gave him my Tesla Max, which is, one of those stim machines, but a $15,000 version of the stim machine, the real ones. And it took a couple weeks, but he was like, oh my God, thank God you gave this to me. It really helped. But he has this weird neuropathy. Still, he had the caving of, if this starts sinking in on your hand, and it's not because of weight loss, you have a problem.
Interesting.
Right?
You're talking this muscle right here.
Right there.
Yep.
It sunk in,
and
all of a sudden, he just started losing muscle. His arm was dying.
I heard about it, and I saw him a couple months later.
Oh, dude, his one arm is not the size as the other one.
He's a big guy.
He's a big guy. It's noticeable. Yeah. Now, you walking down the street, you just gonna still look at him. Looks like a giant human being that's jacked, still in all the trouble he's had. But if you look at one arm to the other, it's at least 30% smaller.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's got this now we got rid of all the other part of the hand, but he went to lift weights for the first time, and now his pinky doesn't work. So we're going to try using that for some of the neuropathy there. It's completely numb. See if we can bring back the feeling, but it also helps with like the pain associated with, and that's hands, feet, all those different things. I have a friend that was a chiropractor, which is a really tough job on the body. Massaging, tough job on the body, shoulder issues,
sure.
Tattooing. Every tattoo artist I know that's been tattooing for a long time.
Hunched over. And
they're hunched over. Yeah. They're
pressing into them.
Yeah, just a lot of repetitive motion over and over again, right? So that's one of those that, you start with BPC and TB-500, more cost effective, more data on them. But people call me and I go, have you tried R290? They run, 4 milligrams a day, and they'll call me 2 or 3 days later, like, oh my God, it's gone.
And how many milligrams are we doing?
I think we're doing 16 milligrams, because you don't have to run when you feel like your hands are on fire, you're going to go to a higher dose. I've heard people going higher than that, but I think most people are running like it's 2 to 3. So each bottle's a week and a half, and you do take days off on it.
Yeah. Interesting. Cool. Let's go to the next one then, I guess. Humanin.
We already did Humanin.
Did we do Humanin?
We did. We humanized it.
See, I need Humanin to help my brain.
Right? Honestly, I can't wait for that one, because I know it's not done yet, but I want to use it.
Yeah. I got to find one. Pentadecapeptide.
Okay. Thank God that kind of ended. I know that the whole BPC 157 thing from and maybe there is a different one, but so Pentadecapeptide is BPC 157.
Okay.
Someone just renamed it, but when we mass spec Pentadecapeptide, it's identical to BPC 157. So I don't know. Maybe
So why do both?
I don't know, because people want it. So
Okay. So it's the exact same thing as
everything that I can look at it on a scale is the same. Now, do we want to go over what the actual differences are? I'm just saying I haven't been able to find raw materials when I make them that are different. They test the same. So if there is one out there, maybe I'm wrong, but I think all they're doing is the main manufacturers of the raw materials. They just, it's just like, granted, this is the actual GLP-1 is what it's called, but you got Ozempic, semaglutide, GLP-1, right? I feel like someone just said BPC 157. Oh, there's a problem. Pentadecapeptide, right? Pentadeca 15. Pentadeca.
Deca's 10. Is Deca 7 or 10?
Penta is 7, Deca is 10. So 15. I don't know. It kind of reminds me of 157 in some way. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't know. Maybe that play in my head. But let's just look it up. Because I always like sometimes peptide versus BPC.
I want to see ChatGPT. See, just
let's see what good old ChatGPT says, because it does have a lot of good information. If you don't know a lot, because you're using research peptides out there, it's a good source to get some good information. Still, don't trust everything you always read. BPC 157, a naturally derived pentadecapeptide.
So we got it. We're just gonna scratch that off the list.
I mean, I made it. I bought it. I bought all the stuff to make it. But yep, even according to this, BPC offers a much broader therapeutic. Pentadeca arginate appears optimized for localized tissue healing, skin, muscle improvements. So essentially,
does that mean if you do it locally, it might work?
Well, no, I think if you use pentadecapeptide, if it is, but like I said, when we test everything molecularly wise, it looks identical. Yeah. So I guess maybe we look at it like this. So you got IGF-1 and mechanism growth factor MGF is a branch of IGF-1. So what I'm thinking is in my head is that BPC 157 pentadecapeptide is a branch off of BPC 157. So it doesn't have any of the repair for the gut or the repair for ligaments and tendons. It's mostly skin tissue, muscle tissue, soft tissues for Pentadeca. So you're not getting the same product, but you are kind of getting the same product. Just use BPC 157.
Yeah.
But we have it if you really want to
have any more findings, we'll definitely share with everybody. So
yeah, I mean, I like MGF. I mean, for people that are really trying to rebuild, I like that a lot better. If you're trying to get through the soreness piece or the soft tissue piece, I like MGF and IGF-1 type base products better for that than pulling inflammation. Like I said, inflammation is for injuries. Real injuries.
And it's important.
Yeah. Well, the one thing that we all know is like inflammation is the silent killer. I mean, that is your pain source. I mean, you can, like if you stick a needle through your skin, it hurts at the surface and there's really not a pain after.
Right.
But then what?
That's the nerves.
Right. Yeah. So there's no pain. So you jam. I know it's scary. You look at the big needle, but once you get it through your skin on your butt, you can get that 1.5 or 1. You drag it all the way through. There's no real pain there.
Yeah. Once you're in.
But once you inject and you cause stress in that area, and then the inflammation moves in, and you're like, oh, my butt hurts. And that's inflammation.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So the inflammation is what you true. And you get inflammation from everything. It's crazy when you pull up like scans and they show you where you're inflamed, but a lot of that's coming from your gut. So if you eat right, you'll have less problems carrying too much weight, pounding on the joints, all those things that cause inflammation, because, your knees, cartilage doesn't have a feeling.
Right.
It doesn't.
No. Yeah.
it's the inflammation in the area from that cartilage being burnt out or destroyed that you build inflammation, the why your knee swells and hurts.
Right.
So yeah. Anyway, that's a
Interesting.
really long way to go.
Yeah. So Cartilax, I think we were just talking about cartilage. So good segue into that one. So
Yeah, Cartilax. I mean, Cartilax is been shown to help regrow. I don't necessarily. It's a bioregulator. I have not seen anything really, really work. So if you're going to use it, I mean, why not? If you're having some cartilage issues, let's see if it does work.
you're talking about for regrowth of cartilage because there's a lot of claims that might help with that, right? So,
Well, yeah, they might help. I don't know if that's going to work, but I mean, you take Cartilax, don't you?
no, I haven't taken it yet.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's bioregulator. Once again, if when it comes to the joints and all that area, I mean, it's one of the few I would take. It's also in the brain.
And that's what I know you were excited about when you were talking about it, was the potential for removing plaque from the brain.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's, if you do have buildup, you hear people go and get scoped and they just get all the junk out. If it's helping with that, once again, we're so new in these things. Don't get me wrong. There's 40 years of study in Russia on this stuff, but we don't have a lot of the real data. But yeah, if you can clean out the garbage that's clogging up the area, I mean, maybe that's your chance to not or prevent Alzheimer's from forming, from the inflammation in the joints. But yeah, I don't think it's going to help much for regrowing cartilage. There's all these weird studies with AOD and some different products like human tissue cell products. That's code for stem cell type products, where they're using that to possibly a cartilage grow. And then I met a young lady at A4M in December. I don't know if it's last year or the year before. And she swore up and down that she had a product that would legitimately grow cartilage. And then I asked her 10 times for the documentation. Nothing ever comes over. You know what I mean? So just be worried. But, Cartilax, yeah. I mean, it's worth taking.
Yeah.
For those. Like I said, I'm going to take every bioregulator. I think we have 27, right? So if I just, I think we're going to make them in packs of 50 milligrams by 20 for the oral, and then the bottle, 20 milligram bottle. I'm just going to program all those to take every product. Like, obviously I don't have to take Ovogen for the ovaries. There's a few you can kick out.
I'd like to see you try.
I mean, yeah, it's like, wait, what am I supposed to? All of a sudden,
he starts crying.
I cry every day now that I started taking estrogen. That was a weird one. So I haven't had estrogen in my body for years because I just don't produce it, which is probably the reason why I don't produce sperm.
Right.
It's probably all tied to.
It's all the balance, right? I mean,
yeah, they don't want any more of me running around. But yeah, you can kick out a couple of them that you don't need. And some of them are actually kind of dual purpose. They do the same thing, but one has maybe a slight benefit in one or the other. So if you cut out a few of them, you could pretty much take them all almost twice a year, right? So you got 10 days, 52 weeks, 25 different versions at 10 days would be twice a year. Program that in your phone. Who cares if you don't need it? Like I said, you're not going to overdo it.
And these are all pills that you're talking about.
Yeah, and they're all pills and about $80. I mean, yeah, you're going to spend an extra $8 a day.
But to get your body up to speed where it was when you were younger, right?
How much do you spend on Starbucks? I know my Starbucks now costs $8, so I'll skip Starbucks. Right. And you can have every organ in your body optimized.
Yeah.
All year.
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty good. And like I said, if you want to drink Starbucks every other day, trim it down to 12 and a half.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can do a half, but
I love it. All right, Ash.
Did you cover bronchogen?
No, those for the bronchial region. All the bioregulators are just for, there's not a whole lot to talk about because it's just.
Do we want to maybe just list off the bioregulators that are coming, So
cardiogen.
Well, okay. So if we want to talk about those, so we actually made it a lot easier. We actually just named them heart.
Yeah. Here you go. I mean, this is actually good information of what's about to come.
Yeah. I mean, it's the bioregulators are the bioregulators. So when you talk about doing, bronchogen or testogen for the testes, or, I don't know, freaking there's
Ovagen,
oh,
you brought the
Ovagen, there's
Cartilax, Cardio,
Livigon, you're right, you got all these that do this thing. They're like the code names. And then if you want to go to the Russian names, they're even weirder. But they're just set for one organ, right? So we just named them that. So it's going to be heart. You will put in what that is somewhere else, but it's going to be really easy to. So like for me, I need to make sure I take the heart one, because even though we talked about cholesterol earlier and how just because you have high cholesterol and I have one thing, doesn't matter. I'm just still going to take it just because I have that weird marker. Why not make sure that everything's good? Not to mention I'm hard on my heart,
right.
From drinking late nights. I'm not a perfect human being. That all this stuff is stress.
It adds up.
So I'm going to do that. I have poor lung function from when I, punctured my lung. So my lung function isn't great. I have poor kidney function, not because I have poor kidneys, but because of the amount of protein in the body mass that I have. Being 3% body fat at 240 pounds, you're going to have higher stress on your kidneys. So I developed kidney stones like crazy. I've already had surgery once. I've had probably past 20 stones. I've even had saliva gland stones. So I'll definitely take that one. I'll take liver. I drink, right? Even though the liver is so recovery wise is the easiest, and we take so many other things that help with it. But even like GLPs are good for your kidneys, right? So I never took GLPs. I got this way without a GLP in my life. I just started the low dose for the kidney help, because I just want to make sure every time I take it, I'm always just at the top of the range and over. I'm not getting worse, right?
Yep.
But if I can just settle that back down in the normal range, that just make me feel a little better. And I've seen, I see my nephrologist and he's like, dude, you're fine.
So these are things that you could actually be doing, these bioregulators for the heart, the kidney, whatever.
That's what I'm saying. Just buy the ones that you think you have concerns about.
And there's tests you could actually do that you're going to see them kind of potentially improve, right? Is that?
Yeah. I mean, technically, well, in like, once again, how much water did you drink before you go? Were you out drinking? Did you have 40 protein shakes the last few days? A really high protein diet. All those things are going to reflect on your blood levels. That's why you don't always, people freak out. Like I told the prostate one, Prostamax, that's on for the prostate. The other one, eyes. Everybody's eyes degrade.
Mm-hmm.
They get tired, they wear out. And that's one of those things. You can now do 2 LASIKs, right? They can fix astigmatism. They can help you with cataracts, but they can only do those things once or twice now for like the second cleanup. But then there's not enough cornea left right there. So, but everybody's eyes pretty much go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everybody should probably be taking the one for the eyes.
What are we going to call that one?
Eyes.
Well, I know what we're going to call it. Yeah. Ohogen, is that?
Ohogen? No, like I said, you can go here and go, let me talk about this bioregulator. Let me talk about this bioregulator. They just do each organ.
Yeah.
So
everybody's going to be seeing that coming, and
we bought
probably in a bioregulator section on the site.
Yeah, they'll all be classified to make it easier, so you know what you're getting. We'll have the injectable versions. We'll have the oral versions. Obviously, the oral versions are easy. They work just fine. They're so small, they don't have a problem. They don't get destroyed. Go ahead and Google it. I know that Dr. Seeds edit that out, but he got on there and just, I think, made a fool of himself, saying like, "Oh, bioregulators, they don't work. This expensive piss, all this stuff." Show me one person that knows this, an expert in bioregulators. I don't know. Maybe the guys in Russia that have been studying bioregulators for 30 years and continue to do it because they work is a reason. But how much crap do you take every single day, from your collagen protein to your multivitamin to your zinc pill to your magnesium to all the little weird things, your sleep aid and all that stuff? How do you know it's working?
Yeah.
You hope it is when you're taking it as a precautionary, right?
Yeah.
So think of these as your precautionary.
I mean, and I did bring up,
but way more effective.
Sure. And I did bring up testing, right? But I think there's some easy markers that people can test for on, you got the base, you got month 1, you got month 2, month 3, and you could probably do it in there.
Yeah.
And the evidence is going to show whether it's doing something or not.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I'm definitely going to go for the kidney one, because I've seen where my kidneys have been forever. And I'm going to take them, and then I'm going to do the before, the 20-day, the 1 month, and just kind of see where that goes. And even if I see a 5% increase or, downgrade in where my number is, that's great.
Yeah.
I'll take
Absolutely.
5%.
Yeah.
That means my kidneys last 5% longer, or maybe more. Because sometimes just functioning that much better means they don't burn out.
Yeah.
You get 280,000 miles out of your car. Well, you get 2,000 if you run it at the red line.
Right.
So take it off the red line.
Yeah. It's a pop quiz. How do you say that other pill? Or growlin?
or Liffergon.
We're gonna struggle with that. Oh,
Or for
ooh,
Glycerin.
that was the best one I've heard.
Yeah, I'm excited about that one. And I talked to Jay the other day, and he was like, I haven't eaten in 2 days. He's like, this is crazy. He was so excited about it.
Too funny.
But VIP is like that all-inducing peptide as well. It's very expensive.
Yeah.
I put it with that BPC for the help in the gut because it helps with like electrolytes being absorbed and your ability to stay, people dehydration. Like a lot of people don't realize because they drink so much other things like coffee, caffeine, rich drinks. Those all deplete you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it helps a lot with that absorption through the intestine, which is why I put it with BPC.
Interesting.
Right, for the oral, but it stays there just like anything else. But for you, when you're talking about VIP for other health, huge for. It actually helps with even insulin sensitivity. It helps with the heart. It helps with the lungs. It helps with obviously, like I said, the gut area. It helps with repair in cartilage.
Mm-hmm.
Because anything that's, hooked up to dilation, vascularity, it just works on really well. It's a really cool.
It's like opening up your blood cells and blood
Yep.
flow is going to just go around.
Yeah, which we don't get blood flow and cartilage, stuff like that. So, I mean, granted, we got to see more science on it, but, we just made 100 grams of it to produce and start the lyo. And because we've made it 5 times and it didn't come out right.
Yeah, I was going to say, we haven't had the injectable version, just the pill.
Like, because trying to get it right to do the injection, to make it, obviously it has to be a different model. You don't have to have a purity level of 99 or 98 and plus for an oral. I mean, you could mix it with a million things. And that's why most oral pills, you don't test for purity levels because there's other stuff mixed in, fillers and so forth. So the purity is going to be different. But when you do something into a bottle in a lyophilized state, you're just hopefully keeping just that product in there because you're injecting it directly in the bloodstream. But yeah, so we were able to get it finally 99.67, I think is where we hit on our purity level, which is great. So we'll start making VIP in the bottle. Helps with the kidneys, big time with kidneys. So like I said, anything with kidneys, lungs, I'm in. It does both those. And anything with the gut is always good. The gut's the center of your, most people's issues.
Yeah.
They don't realize it.
And I was when I was learning about it when it first came out, like I said, the heart wasn't something interesting.
Yeah.
Just because I got people I care about that, have heart issues. And so if it's helping repair and, they've got their aches and pains and everything throughout their body, I thought that was a great thing. So he's been on it for a while and, been feeling great. So
yeah, I mean, like Humanin and that and FOXO4 and, NAD, they kind of have, BPC, they have this overall help everything mentality. So, I mean, there are ones that, people probably should, as you get older, run as much as you possibly can.
Yeah.
Pick your poison, so to speak.
I mean, is that something if somebody's on the tablets for it, do you go on and off it at all? Or is that just you can take it daily, kind of like a supplement almost?
No. So you can use it all the time. That ain't going to hurt you at all.
Mm-hmm.
I take BPC every day. I don't take it with the VIP because the cost of that product is astronomical compared to, here's, I'm not going to tell you how much everything exactly costs, right? Because I don't even know off the top of my head, but the amount of BPC that's in a bottle of oral BPC, let's say all of it in there cost $50, right? To make it, which is not true, but let's just say it's $50. The 2 milligrams of VIP that are in there cost So that's 50, costs close to 1,000. That's how expensive that stuff is to make.
That's like a 20 to 1. I do the math.
It's a little over 20 to 1. More, it's more than 21. And if you look at things like FOXO4, that is 4 times more expensive than that.
Than the VIP.
Yeah. And then you get into IGF-1. That's like 10,000 times more expensive.
Is that right?
Yeah. So
I mean, you're doing such a low amount when they do it.
that's the one benefit, because you're doing, 50 to 200 micrograms at a time, thank God. But IGF-1 is millions, like $50 million a kilo to produce.
Crazy.
So if you thought cocaine was expensive, you should be stealing bags of IGF-1.
You can find it.
You make a lot more money. That's the other thing is, well, I mean,
How'd that one slip through the doctors?
oh yeah. I mean, people thought cocaine was a profitable business. You can get a kilo of cocaine for 12 grand. Every peptide we have, a kilo is 100,000 to 5 million bucks.
It's crazy.
Yeah. I know, but I always talk in kilos because everything's metric for everything we do.
Except
And
for this.
yeah, well, we still use it here because in medicine, you just got to use what everywhere in the world uses to make it easiest. I don't know why we just didn't flip all the way back over to it and make it one world. But yeah, when we did that, I just say kilo, and everybody just thinks drugs all day, every day. And the way I look, I guess I see why.
Too funny. Well, while we're kind of on the tablet one, let's talk about the 5-amino-1 MQ.
Yeah, I mean, so okay, it's orally bioavailable. That's why it does. So now there is people do like injecting it, and when you inject it, you get a better NAD response. But I inject NAD, and for me, I don't want to inject that every day. It's highly, highly acidic.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's why it can handle the stomach.
Right. One has to do another.
Yeah. So, but talk about a great product. I mean, while you're on it, it helps keep muscle tissue on, will burn fat off, but it only works for a limited amount of time. So if people that want to just kind of have this consistent role of kind of help melt fat off, you're not trying to shred, not shred, but you're not trying to lose 100 pounds.
Yeah.
You can use it in conjunction, but you're probably going to need a GLP or something of that matter that's stronger. But I basically run 2 bottles of 5-amino-1, then 2 bottles of Sloop, then 2 bottles of 5-amino-1, then 2 bottles of Sloop. And I just run that alternatively all year long.
Yeah. One of my the favorite doctors that I talked to out in Indianapolis, I believe she is. She's been working with the 5-amino-1 MQ for a long time. And she said, when it's those people that it's like, hey, I'm getting ready for, we kind of talked about it earlier, but kind of ready for a dinner party, a bikini season, whatever it is, kind of running it quick, like, hey, I want to trim down. I'm almost there. Running 50 milligrams morning, 50 milligrams afternoon, and 50 milligrams in the evening. She says has worked wonders, and she's seen it over and over again. And so,
it just only works for 6 weeks.
Yeah. So it's not a forever thing.
No,
it's a,
your body just gets used to it.
Get ready for summer, Yeah.
Anybody in the bodybuilding world that used to run like clenbuterol.
Yeah.
Right. That one melts fat off you too. Man, heart's racing, you're sweating like crazy, and you're shaking.
Yeah. You're not going to get the sweats and the shaking from
I get the sweats on it for sure.
On the 5-amino?
Yeah. For me, I think that process of kind of disbanding the fat off your body thermogenically makes me sweat. Maybe not, it doesn't make you physically sweat, but I think my body heats up way faster than it would have.
Interesting.
Because when I run it, I swear to God, I'm always hot. I sleep outside my sheets. I mean, it's fine.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, good to know what to kind of look for.
Just run your AC,
stuff.
Yeah. Crank it in the car. You might be a little sweaty. I mean, who cares?
Yeah.
But the new thing is everybody's asking me to make an injectable version of it, which we can. It's the same thing.
We're going to get the response back with the burning.
Yeah. And they're mixing it with, what are they mixing it? Mixing it with like Mot-C and a couple other products to create this like ultimate weight loss other blend that's not a GLP-1. It could work.
Interesting.
Yeah.